On March 27th, Robert Frederick, technical co-founder of Amazon Web Services and current CEO of Circle, graced the Black Founders and Funders meeting with an important message on entrepreneurship and operating in your purpose as a business person by helping people. Here's our conversation.
So my grandfather was a civil engineer. My father was an electrical engineer. I'm a computer science major. And there's one other person in my family who's a computer science person who probably will be embarrassed that I mention his name right now, but he's right there. That's my son. So, by the way, there's a reason why he's here, because he wants to see what's going on in Washington as a future founder, right? So if anybody wants, I'm doing the dad thing, internships, things like that. You know, he's doing computer science and he's pretty good at it.
Do you want that microphone?
Yeah, sure.
All right, perfect. All right, let's get you on.
Hopefully. All right, we're good.
Good to go?
Yep. I am sinking in this chair though.
Comfortable chairs.
Yep.
All right. Main event. So we have Mr. Robert Frederick, the AWS inventor, technical co-founder, and founder and CEO of Circle. Pleasure to have you here, Mr. Frederick.
Thank you for having me.
So, I'm gonna go into let's go to your many accomplishments real quick. You see this? I'm going to talk about a little bit about this man's accomplishments here. I'm not going to go through all of them because I don't want anybody to feel little right now, but I just want you to know we're in the presence of a giant right now, okay? So, Robert Frederick, current CEO of Circle, also technical co-founder of AWS, which before it was AWS was Amazon Anywhere.
Yep.
You were working on Bluetooth before it was Bluetooth.
Yep.
And you were working with intelligent agents before they were chic.
By the way, intelligent agents are the 90s way of saying Siri and Alexa, for those who don't know.
So basically what I'm hearing is that you worked with classified materials and classified projects.
Something like that, yeah.
See, I know what I'm talking about. See, they won't tell you all this.
I have a couple of challenge coins.
Outstanding.
Okay.
Outstanding.
Because you told me what you were doing before, so you should know what that means.
Man, this is about you, not me. Put my business out there, not just with you. But it is great because we're dealing with somebody that has a lot of experience. How many companies have you founded?
This Circle is my fourth, but every company that we work with, I sit on boards, I work with founders, so I feel like I'm helping those companies as well as a member of the team. So I would say about 25.
25.
Yeah.
25.
So far.
Okay. All right. Let's get into this.
And some of them have gone from garage shops to being listed on NASDAQ.
Outstanding. Which one are you most proud of?
Sarcos. Does anyone know who Sarcos is? Because they were right in Bellevue. They're a robotics AI company, and now they're listed on NASDAQ right now. So
we're going to get into that. Get into that. So you come across as a very humble, or should I say, low key kind of individual. Would I be correct to say that?
That's a trick question.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's get into it. So your childhood, where are you from?
So I'm actually from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Anyone here know what Stone Mountain is? Anyone know what Stone Mountain is known for? So for those of you who don't know what Stone Mountain is known for, it's actually the headquarters of the Confederacy in Georgia. And during the 70s, it was kind of a difficult place to grow up as a, let's just say, African American. There was a lot of people who said you can't do and you can't be. And not only do you have to actually overcome that, you also have to deal with school systems, you have to deal with teachers, you have to deal with friends of your parents who don't even respect them, that type of thing, because we were transplants from DC. And my favorite sort of thing to tell people about, especially during the 70s and right into the 80s, is I think my parents had a sense of humor to move from DC to Stone Mountain. That's number one. Number two, it was hard. Number three, if it wasn't for sci-fi, right, and books, and it was called the Pizza Hut Challenge. Does anyone know what that is? Where you got to go to the Braves game or to sports just if you read a certain number of books. My dad was completely addicted to baseball games, and he just thought it was amazing. So my job was to read books so that we could get tickets to the baseball game for free.
So that was pimping out your knowledge.
And for my dad, he's not the most social person, let's put it that way. We would bond over little gadgets, and he's an inventor, and he would build things with his hands as an electrical engineer, and he would teach me things, that I later got a chance to talk to professors who were like experts in that area. And so we would do that over the dinner table, but these particular ways of escaping the environment, leaving Stone Mountain but going to Atlanta for baseball games, doing sports, playing soccer, doing all these other things, that was how I sort of grew up. And it was I couldn't wait to leave. Does that make sense? Because of two things. And I'm sorry I'm going off a little bit.
No, this is exactly what I want.
But on here it says son of Jamaican and Trinidadian immigrants.
Wow.
So I'm first generation. And my role models are my father and my mother. So everyone's like, oh, it must be your dad that you want to take after. I'm a mama's boy. I talk to my mom almost every day. And so one of the things that really sort of, I got some chops from my dad on the tech side, but all of my entrepreneurship, business acumen, those types of things, desire to win and to actually succeed and build economies with the people around me, all came from my mother, who is a self-made CEO who started a healthcare startup in the 80s, fighting against other people who were trying to tell her she could not do these things. And she succeeded and put us through school. And let's just put it this way. When you look at the success of my mother compared to my father, she dwarfs him majorly. And she was just an RN, registered nurse, that worked at Emory University.
That's incredible. That's incredible
Yep.
to have parents that promote your technical chops, but also give you that drive and entrepreneurship is extremely important. And then those challenges that you had moving from DC to Georgia, I know that was a culture shock for you. When did you move from DC?
1978.
How old were you?
5.
Okay, all right.
So my formative years really were in Georgia, and some of the things that people don't recognize, and I know I'm sort of going off script a little bit, but I was thinking about it today. There was a time period during the early 80s where we couldn't go outside. There was a scare for young black males because a serial killer was out there. So literally it was about being a shut-in, being a latchkey kid, running home, you know what I mean? Getting home as fast as I could from the elementary school, not just because of the neighbors having issues, but because we were all scared, right? So if you don't know about this one, Go look it up. Do a a Google search on it. They think they have the guy who did it. I'm still kind of the opinion that they don't. But the whole idea here is I'm sort of a product of the environment. I went while other people who didn't have the same sort of background, the same kind of parents, the same kind of structure, focused on other ways to leave the neighborhood, if you want to think of it that way, when they were 18, going off to the military, going off just anywhere else. I'm the only one really in my sort of age group that went to college, and then left, and then came back. So my parents are still living in the same house that I grew up in originally, and I go back, like at least once or twice a year, minimum.
Okay. So you had parents that pushed you, that saw your potential, and cultivated that. So what was your formative years were in Georgia, and was there anything significant that happened in high school?
Oh yeah.
Or can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I want them to understand your journey.
So the journey was elementary school, going to classes, being years ahead of other students, because they had something called levels. Anyone here from the South? Anyone? So do any of you guys know about levels, where you had to take a test in kindergarten, first grade, and then that would determine how you ended up as a senior in high school? So we took these tests, and then they would place you based upon your level of understanding. And I don't know if that's still in existence anywhere, but
In California, they call them tracks.
Tracks.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just took the test, and I kept passing and passing and passing, and then they were like, "You can't go any higher because you don't have the maturity to be around people who would give you a hard time because you don't look like them. You don't have the same sort of background as them." And so I had to basically take some of the classes ahead, and then I would have to keep studying at home in order to stay ahead, as opposed to the school system telling me, "Why don't you just take a break, take some extra time, study periods, and then let the other people catch up to you." And my parents were like, "No, that's not going to happen." So I got to middle school, and then got into a school called Woodward Academy. Woodward Academy led to being the first person at that school to actually finish all of my studies before my senior year. And it was about 20 minutes away from Georgia Tech. I was explaining this before. So I took my whole freshman year partially at Georgia Tech and in my high school.
How old How old were you?
Well, I'm not like you, so I was
And
only
this is about
17.
you, not me.
Sorry, but if you don't know his background, then he can do it on his own time, I guess.
We'll talk about it. So you basically started taking college classes at 17 years old.
Yeah.
So taking college classes on Georgia Tech. Sorry.
Yeah,
Excuse
big
me.
difference.
Let me put some respect on the name. So taking college
Ramblin'
classes
Wreck from Georgia Tech. by the
at
way.
Georgia Tech. Where did you go from? What did you study while you were at Georgia Tech?
Physics, chemistry, and calculus. And so that led to interviews for all the colleges and things like that. So I got into Caltech, I got into MIT, I got into Rice, I got into a whole bunch of schools. But the whole idea here is I wanted to go somewhere where I knew I could start a business, where I had mentors and people telling me in college the best thing you can do is start a business, find people around you who you can work with, and then actually use that time period to then figure out what you want to do and then go make it happen. And to speed things up a little bit, that's what I did. I ended up at the MIT Media Lab, worked on Bluetooth before Bluetooth was called Bluetooth with Ericsson and Intel, figured out that this was going to be a pretty big deal, and then found someone who could fund it and help me sort of realize an idea. We basically started the company back in Atlanta. The product was called devicetalk.com, go figure. And that company was acquired by Amazon in 1999. And that particular product, in some ways, could be considered one of the predecessors to AWS, because it was a server allowing devices and systems to talk to it, and then it would go out and do things on behalf of other people.
So your first business that you started was basically from your experience at MIT and Media Lab. Did you sell that company?
Yeah, I sold it to Amazon.
Okay, so all right.
Yeah, it did pretty well.
Okay, all right. Okay, so what was next?
Then at Amazon, it was called Amazon Anywhere. That was 25 years ago, and I can tell everyone, and it'll all make sense. They gave sit down first day, had my luggage, dropped it down into my new office. They had little door desks, which was weird to me. But I get a chance to meet the CEO and the CIO of the company, and they said, your job here is to, this is your mission. If you're willing to take it. And he starts laughing, and it scares the living daylights out of me, because he's, well, kind of a scary person if you're 26 years old or whatever, and this is your first sort of experience with basically a billionaire.
You're not going to gloss over this word right now. You said the CEO and the CIO. You're talking about the CEO of Amazon,
Yes.
correct? You're talking
Jeff
about
Bezos.
Jeff Bezos.
So I'm in the room with him. He says, this is your mission. And the CIO reads it out. And the mission was, the mission for you, and this is what we want you to do, is to make it possible for anyone, anywhere, at any time to be able to access any Amazon feature or service from any device. We decided to call you Amazon Anywhere. Do you like it? And I said, yeah. And they said, good. We just did a deal with Palm. We're going to do another deal with a mobile operator right after. You have 30 days. Go make it happen. And I don't care who it is. You just figure out this environment, get your system in place, get it installed. You have 30 days. And get your team up here, because not all of us were actually in Seattle. And I had to actually get here. I had to coordinate all the team members moving here. I had to actually do an integration, one of the fastest integrations in the history of Amazon, all within 30 days, because there was this one little thing that they said after that, or else. If you don't make this work, your team will be broken up and put into different parts of the company, because this will be a failure. And you don't do that to a type A person who is extremely competitive and has been told throughout their life, formative years in Stone Mountain in Atlanta, that they're going to fail. And so what I did was I made sure I did everything in my power to make it happen. And within 12 hours before an announcement was going to happen for Amazon Anywhere, 12 hours, right? We said it's ready. And literally they made an announcement. Mobile commerce was launched, secure, private mobile commerce for the very first time on a Palm 7. Does anyone here know what a Palm 7 device? Okay, thank you. So that was back at the PDA time period, and we were doing one click for the very first time on devices that didn't have browsers. We were building apps, 1999, doing millions of dollars in revenue, while other people were talking about selling and buying ringtones. Right? And so that was a huge thing. I finished our announcement, where everyone's patting me on the back. It's like, this is great. And then I go back to my boss and his boss, and they're sort of huddled in the corner, and they come. Rick Dalzell is the name of the person. So Rick comes over to me and says, "You know what? Good job. Now you have 60 days to do the one for the cell phone that night." And he's like, "If you don't get this done, you're going to have your team dispersed." And this happened for almost 7 years. I just want to make sure you guys understand that. So it was launch after launch after launch after launch. Amazon Anywhere did every product that interacted with a consumer that was not in a browser, right? In a traditional web browser. So that includes voice. So I'm one of the patent holders, first patent holder for voice recognition. Is this not working?
No, you're good.
Okay. And we did television, which is interactive TV, which you guys know as Fire TV. We did all sorts of things. Different parts of that team have actually done things even today. I believe a member of the team or some connection to my team back then is doing the walkout technology. You know what I mean? So we were doing everything that wasn't in a browser. And in 2001, after building the technology and basically figuring it out so that internal teams could use our APIs for anywhere, we had a discussion where we changed we added 3 words to that mission statement that I said before, where I said from any device, and we said or any application, changed name from Amazon Anywhere to Amazon Web Services. And AWS was born. Same APIs, same sort of concept, just now it's not just devices, it's the applications that are talking to Amazon. Does that make sense? Right. And so the idea is the cloud. One of the reasons why the first services were compute and storage, and of all things, it's called a simple queue, SQS. That was the first big non-traditional sort of service. It was based upon how people were using those first services. We actually incubated and started people down a path of understanding what could be done in the cloud with Amazon. We had people writing code. I brought, it's over there, but I brought one of the first O'Reilly books from 2003 or 2004, where we were telling people to use AWS. And people were embedding it in ways that we had no idea. As Bezos said, let's let them surprise us. And he's like, this is the team that's going to make it happen. And we went from 0 to 60,000 developers within 3.5 months.
Wow.
Right? And then from 60,000 to hundreds of thousands within the first year. And then those particular application owners were building things that were driving so much revenue to Amazon in so many different ways that they actually they grew our team from, I'm almost embarrassed to say, less than 20 at the start to, I think now it's hundreds of thousands, right?
Incredible.
And one thing that I have a couple, I wanted to show this because this is something that I'm really proud of. It's called the Door Desk Award. It means a lot to me because what it actually explains is, even though I was on the Amazon Anywhere team, we basically were given tasks, right? And these tasks, I'll show it like that, right? These tasks were, hey, what in the company could we solve, or what could we do that has like a big impact for the bottom line to the company? And they didn't have these awards or anything at that point in time. They had like something called the Just Do It Award, but that was only if you're generating a whole bunch of revenue. So if you actually come up with a solution, and that solution saves the company tons of money to the bottom line, then they came up with this one. And I'm the first recipient of a DoorDesk award for a voice recognition solution that was tested and perfected inside of the company for customer service. Right? So we were using what later we call it Lucy. I think it's right there. Think Peanuts. Lucy as the advice sort of booth, and that Lucy changed its name to Alexa later on. And so that I'm one of the technical founders of that particular capability as well.
Now you see why I was saying we have a giant in the room?
Yes.
AWS, the world really runs on AWS, and we got the guy that was told, hey, you got 30 days to make this work. And to have that kind of pressure on you, right?
Oh, yeah.
To know that you're capable of it, but not only were you dealing with the fact of, hey, I'm just now being acquired, but also I have to move my team. I have all this administrative stuff that I have to do on top of the technical requirements. Where do you go next? I mean, how do you go from...
Oh, by the way, I also got married that year too. So
that same year?
2000. So 99 was the acquisition. 2000 was the year I got married. So whole new life, whole new thing going on. Kids come after, but the whole idea was, I didn't know, I didn't think I was going to stay here in Washington. I didn't think I could make it. Amazon's not the same Amazon. There are books on it. There's people who lived it, who've come out and sort of said how difficult it was. I loved it. I loved it.
Well,
and
you're part Jamaican, right? You got 6 jobs. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
I guess
I loved it, and I'm also the first person outside of Amazon, outside of the CEO, who's ever been recognized. The very first person, recognized by a major magazine for being a tech innovator. I think TR35. That's the highest award that MIT can give to people. You want to be a TR35. Like when I was in school, I wanted to get that award. It's all about changing the world. It's about making sure that you can actually have an impact. And I was able to make that happen by 2004, which is a pretty big deal for me.
Kids don't even know that they're able to Netflix and chill because of what you do. Don't even know it. Don't even know it. This is what I'm saying, is that when you have excellence in the room, right? When you have excellence, people who believe in themselves, believe in their dreams, believe in their accomplishments, recognize, hey, that any challenge that I put in front of myself, any challenge that I have, that I will overcome it, that I will not only overcome it, but I will succeed and excel in it. So earlier you said that 4 companies, right? So you went from yourself.
Myself, yeah.
In addition to your 45 patents and other things that you've done that we're going.
There's one thing. This one, because the movie came out recently, I forgot about that. I didn't even know that was in there. That's why it says Gary and Donna. Sorry about that. But onelove.org, I was the part-time CTO for the Marley Foundation.
That's how accomplished you are. You forget your accomplishments. That's what I'm saying.
That should have been edited. But and that one, like Charity Water, a whole bunch of nonprofits were basically funded by this idea of actually working with the Marley family, having a percentage of their earnings from Bob and the rest of the family members. And then that went into Save the Children. Has anyone seen Save the Children commercials on TV? Anyone? Do you guys know about that? There's Charity Water, There's all of these, foundations and charities right now that literally come from a group of people who convinced the Marley family to invest in them. And they've now grown into like huge sort of outreach programs helping people all around the planet. So this is I'm kind of proud of that.
Yeah, let's give a round of applause for that.
What else is up there?
You know, that's once again, when you're that accomplished, you have to write down your I Love Me folder, you know, your I Love Me page with all your accomplishments, because you'll forget. And with a resume and level of accomplishments that this gentleman has had, I think one of the things that we want to know is 2 questions. First one is going to deal with,
Please.
What's your why?
Okay.
That's your first question.
Yep.
And then the second one is, I want you to talk a little bit about raising money, because if it's anything, it's we have why we do it, and then the money helps us accomplish our why.
So my why is I believe that God put me on the planet to actually help people, just period. I don't know about spirituality in the room, but I thank God every day, and literally I do everything in my power to help other people based upon all the work that I have done, any kind of experiences I have. If you guys don't understand, I want to put it in this way. Amazon was not very interested in helping other people, right? They wanted money from everybody else. The reason why AWS happened was less about this whole idea of, you know, we're going to help other people, help entrepreneurs, and take a percentage. It was more about taking the percentage, right? And so one of the key things is to actually get to a point where you get the CEO to actually move and think that, hey, this is going to be amazing because everyone's going to be using your stuff, while you are basically saying everyone's going to use our stuff and actually create economies in places that don't even have them now. We're going to increase employment. We're going to increase capabilities. We're going to increase education. We're going to do all of these things to help people. That's not really the story, but that's some of the behind the scenes for why. And the why is important because even at Circle, which I haven't even gotten to yet, we're like an accelerator. Has anyone ever heard that term before? I said it a few times. But an accelerator is someone who basically creates, we're sort of like an incubator. But we have all the technology, we have all the software, we have businesses in a box, right? And we are out there looking for operators across numerous verticals. So I believe we have about 35 templates right now for iOS, Android, web-based applications that deal with location services, identity, and just basically AI and ML. And the idea is, instead of actually recreating the wheel every time, why not use something that already scales, already works, and then brand it, modify it for your need, and we'll actually invest in the operators that we find so that they can actually run it, and we can sort of help them by actually providing the technical expertise. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to your why about one,
Helping people.
And sometimes people don't necessarily know what it is that they need.
Or even want to be helped.
And, you can only help people who want to be helped. And so being able to provide that for people who actually do want to be helped. So, which brings me now, because clearly you've helped yourself to some funding. So, as others would like to know in the room, like, what is that experience of dealing with VCs versus bootstrapping? What's your take?
It's a tough room because I know there are VCs here too. So everyone So I had a different experience because literally you don't work with Intel Ventures and then say, they didn't help you get started, right? So Intel Ventures or Ivy invested in my first startup out of school. Without them, we probably wouldn't have been able to get acquired by Amazon. But what we basically ended up doing was we took very little money and bootstrapped. And we had customers on day one. I didn't move to Atlanta before we actually had signed documents and a check was supposed to be coming into the bank from a customer. I was in Boston at the time, right? And so that particular thing worked for us. And my second startup was after Amazon during the social networking sort of craze. And they took Draper Fisher, what is it, Jurvetson? Yeah, they took money from those guys, or we did. And what ended up happening is the acquisition that happened after that, most of the money went to them, and a little bit of money went to us. And I didn't like that all that much. So the next time, when with the third company that was called Gripwire, we basically ended up having customers and using the money from those customers to fund the business. We were 4 years profitable, generating millions of dollars per year. That's how I got our office in Seattle, because we do have an office in Seattle. And we had customers like Mercedes-Benz. We had, I guess, local people, Expedia, Microsoft, in that particular company for analytics and data back in 2008 and 9, just so you guys understand how long I've been doing this stuff. And we were 4 years profitable, did an acquisition. It was the LLC. I didn't want to I just want to keep, 100%, not have that same kind of issue happen. People were trying to buy us, do things, but I found a group of people who said, we'll invest and we'll actually take you to the next level. And that became Circle. And what Circle has been doing, like we raised about $12 million using local, local angels. At first, we did convertible notes in the 2012 time period. The two rounds were 1.2 and 1.4. Sounds familiar to someone? I don't know where he is. There he is. And the idea is if you do that and you actually have revenue coming in, then your valuation goes way up. And so let's just say that there is a very interesting and there's a VC firm in Seattle. Evan knows the one I'm talking about, where I have very, very close friends who used to tell me stories about how they would lowball people, right? And because I had an insider track and they wanted me to help out with as an entrepreneur in residence and all this other stuff, if you're in the business or in the mentality of helping people, I try to steer them in a position where they're going to win, not just be leveraged. So one of the things that I have been doing is I ask people, for anyone, how many of you are starting your own company? Okay, a lot of sorry, I saw you raise your hand. But the idea ultimately is, if you're starting your own company, you have to ask yourself, is your company a company or is it a feature? And if you're a feature, then yeah, you focus on that one thing, do it better than anybody else, and then look for acquisition, within the first month of launching your company. That's your end goal. But if you're a business and you want to actually run this thing and you don't want to just flip it, then there's some things that you have to actually do, and you have to get traction. You have to actually prove that people are willing to pay for your stuff. And if you're an investor, whether you're a VC, whether you're an angel, whether you're like me who actually is just looking for founders to help, the best proof that you can actually find that you have value is when you can say, look at this list of customers, look at what they're actually generating for us for revenue, and based upon that, this is the growth pattern that we expect to see over the next like 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, whatever. And if it passes the sniff test, you're in a much better position than if you just take money up front. And as a VC, anybody in the room, am I saying anything wrong here? Thank you. And I mean, you become the darling investment when you walk in and say, I just need help getting to the next level. I've already proven my business plan, right? I just need a little bit of help versus I think I'm going to basically get there. And I recommend, one of the best things that you can do, regardless of what stage you're in, whether it's ideation or if you're looking for customers or if you have customers, just realize before you take money, your valuation is based upon where you are at that moment. And if you don't have a proven track record or group of customers with MRR or yearly revenue versus monthly revenue, recurring revenue, you're actually holding your valuation back and lowering it for that initial investment. Don't take it. That's the if only I knew that at the very, very beginning, the very first step, you probably would have been yourself.
I don't know if that hits you guys the way it did me, but you said build a feature or if you actually build a company. And so, here at Bush Mechanics, it's about integrated startups, right? Can you go a little bit more into detail about the difference between company and feature?
Okay. I'm going to see if I can actually think of something that was pitched. So a company is something where it's a collection of features that allows for a group. It's almost like, think of them as fishing hooks, where each one of those features, you're capturing a group, a part of an audience that allows the company to grow, to expand its influence, and become a tool that can go viral, or an actual destination where that can go viral. If you have something that can go viral, not just from this one thing, but a series of, we call them primitives. That's what we were, like EC2, I'll use AWS for instance. That's a feature for storage. For S3 is a feature for storage. SQS is a feature for queuing-based APIs. And they kept going, by the way. I think it's like almost 1,000. Right? But the whole idea is it's a collection of features. If you're doing something like Uber, say for instance, or you're doing something in transportation, you're doing something with food, like APIs, it's a collection of marketplace, location, payments, ratings, identity, profiles. Those are each features. But if another company I just talked to is doing generative AI for influencers, like actually generating video that mimics a person. That's all they do. They don't do anything else. Company's worth a lot of money, but the whole idea is they're going to be acquired, right? And that's his goal. He's not building out
a series of solutions. He's just building out one so we can flip it and move on to something. That's what I'm trying to explain. If you're only focused on feature versus a collection of features where you get a majority of people interested and engaged, if you are not people, I think most recently they've been calling them people marketplaces on the social side of people marketplace, and so that's basically how it.
Okay, well, let's switch gears and open it up to the audience and just for a minute. But man, we've got books over here, Circles Free, where you find them for creating any web, mobile, and IoT applications.
Kind of happy.
Written by Robert Frederick. It's a two books you got. Two-way pager. I feel like I'm back in the 90s and early 2000s. You got Edison, which is one of your IoT devices by Circle.
By the way, we should talk about this. I've been doing this and putting them in place and actually putting presence for this without having to install it. Four guys, right? Actually, presence. Well, so talk about it. That's our favorite part.
Absolutely. See, this is what I need more time. This all that this man has accomplished, all that you accomplished, is absolutely incredible. Yes.
There's a reason for this. By the way, the circle. Uh, yeah, still back. So Circle has all of these different layers, but to not use like the tech talk for all of you guys, just think this way. How many of you guys are what it's on? Like everyone's doing that. What if the did actually based on price and without knowing the dispute, but it can actually interact with the building, with signage, with things that are correct. If they fire gas without knowing the dispute, it's there. Let's turn on and then now instead of people or something that's you're just walking what normally would have instead just because if you know your preferences of this system is there allow makes it makes it make the world something that's that's what circles that's the whole concept of circles is you want to make the world. And once that happens, it benefit in ways that nobody's been able to except for sort and the whole idea is basically just we're actually right, not that's what I want. It's we're along that.
Incredible. You want to open it up for any questions? So anybody have any questions? Raise your hand.
Hi, Oscar. I don't need a microphone. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, very nice to meet you. Great conversation. My name is Anjanae Slaughter. I founded Young Black Homeowners. We're in the real estate space. We develop culturally relevant and trauma-informed homebuyer education, so curriculum. And we sell, we're LLC. We sell our curriculum to government institutes. So our biggest contract. We received north of $2 million in 2023 to offer down payment assistance. Thank you, thank you. And now we do have like bigger conglomerate companies that want to get behind White H doing and take our brand to the national level. So the question I have for you is around like scalability, things that we should look out for when it comes to our, preserving our brand. Ultimately, the goal is to go global. We want to make sure that everyone, no matter where you come from, know how to own, know how to access homeownership.
I just want to know, how are you doing? Is it a document or is it online sort of LMS?
No, so they're all in-person classes. So the way I want to scale is like, I would love to talk.
All right, we should talk after.
Okay.
Because this is exactly why.
Well, you didn't. Thank you.
This just.
By the way, for anybody who's funding, that's a great idea. And we're doing it in person versus having that it basically overnight turned on the state in services. These are the types of things that a vertical business.
Also, to add on to that, Wednesday, there's a trust platform. Next question. Justin.
One of the so Evan and I, and I've been introducing people outside the state to, and basically I will do doesn't have to be that it's a DEI issue. It's people not part of the reason. I'll be honest with you. Hired someone that um, I would walk into the room and they would say this, and I'm right. And the main thing I did was I played the psychology and do that sort of thing. Right? Once they were comfortable with him, then they came. And so, with that said, um, I think the reason why we're tonight is to actually make multiple states simultaneously, multiple people. So, so whether they're on the investor side or returning to, they're starting to do the exact same thing. Start to look to add it to this. You just have to make this happen because nobody's going to do it for us. It's got to be because nobody else can do it. And if they do, then like basically this, all of the events that are it's amazing. All the different sort of groups is amazing. We should all be supporting all of the different people, all of the I call them all of our groups. Not just I'm talking about people who are support. I'm talking about people allies. And we have to actually celebrate the allies as well, because they're the ones that are actually going to make us come together. And if it wasn't for Evan, I would never have. And so thank you.
Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
Next, we got 2 questions. Tracy. All right, let Tracy go and ask your question. We'll have you answer both.
All the companies are great. We say what we want to do and how. To like
I'm gonna make sure this question closes out.
Lucy was peanuts. Anyone see the picture?
Okay.
Because there was so much tie to that.
I know.
Wait, did he also write? So my question is, so it's more like, so the same office, separate people, big tasks. How do you feel about
So actually, they're related. The questions are related. Because one of the hardest things there are people that it doesn't even it's even more pronounced for us, but it's just part of the organization where people set up. I actually know of people so that other people, you know, I know, I, well, let me just get back to it. The main person there is Jess involved. I was told by I was told, and that's pretty tough. As soon as you start basic, and for those of you who want to use that, use it because this is like this is the best advice actually. So because I had a course that was new, I was able to turn that for the things that I did some and I was so so that after a while, let's actually help. I support people. So now it's, and while other people are struggling, you know, um, or I go down and we're so I've shared, I've listened to them. All of a sudden, how do you get those points? You know what I mean? Or it just happens. If you put it's actually going along with it, you put yourself and you're basically listening. That then all of a sudden, not and so when it comes to the how do you get people, emulate some of the things and then say you can when you actually play the right, I told you I love because it was a game to it was who can I get as having this other person and it was other people hated it. They wrote about it and it's in books, it's all over the place. But I kept wisely. I go to a certain used to travel, right? And the reason I was doing
Hello. And I just want to thank Dr. Tracy Burrell, who once again another giant in the world that you guys don't know about. You don't know about the National Black MBA Association. As an MBA student, as somebody as an MBA, National Black MBA, huge. It's National Society of Black Engineers. So I'm also a member of the other culturally responsible Black engineers who excel academically, see professional, positive impact. Don't play with me. So, Robert, this has been incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I am curious to see people are doing something and see one of the pieces of
Thank you. Oh, that has to be said.
Take a quick question break while we two presentations.